Hi, thank you again joining this session today. I'll just take a few minutes before we start the actual discussion and the topic for today. उससे पहले I'll just give a brief introduction, my own and my company's. I am Manjot Singh Bhasin and I am a director at this company called Star Educare. We are a consultancy firm wherein we organize and coordinate flight trainings for our candidates who wish to become commercial pilots. We've been doing this since 2008 और 12-13 साल में हमने काफ़ी बच्चे ट्रेन किए हैं. 1500 से ऊपर इंडियन पायलट्स हम ट्रेन कर चुके हैं. एंड अक्सर हमने यही चीज़ पाई है, हमारे को ये चीज़ महसूस हुआ है कि ट्रेनिंग को लेके बहुत ज़्यादा अनअवेयरनेस है. लॉट ऑफ कैंडिडेट्स आज भी उनको नहीं पता कि ट्रेनिंग कैसे प्रोग्रेस की जाए और कैसे प्रोसेस की जाए. फ्लाइट ट्रेनिंग, सीपीएल ट्रेनिंग एक नॉर्मल फॉर्मल एजुकेशन नहीं होती है, उसका एक अपना फॉर्मेट चलता है. इट्स अ प्रोफेशनल ट्रेनिंग और आपको कोई एक सिंपल नहीं है कि एक इंस्टीट्यूट ज्वाइन किया और आपका ट्रेनिंग हो जाए. दे कैन लॉट्स ऑफ इफ्स एंड बट्स टू इट. We have come across a lot of candidates start of the training, in the middle of the training or end of the training who have had issues with the training, ending up spending more money and more time to this training. So that is why we were sitting in the office and we decided to come up with a series of video, and it's an education video for the candidates who wish to become pilot, कि स्टेप बाय स्टेप आपको पता चले कि आपने क्या एग्जैक्टली करना है, कौन सा स्कूल ज्वाइन करना है, कौन सी कंट्री में करना है, क्या करना है. अगर आपका टारगेट है कि आपको एक सीपीएल लाइसेंस सीपीएल चाहिए और आप एक कमर्शियल पायलट का करियर परस्यू करना चाहते हो, तो उस पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू पे हमने एक सीरीज़ का एक प्लान किया करने के लिए. लास्ट वीक हमने एक बेसिक एलिजिबिलिटी का डिस्कशन किया था. I'll just go through those discussions once again so that we can take it from there. So basic eligibility, the candidate जिसको भी पायलट बनना है specifically in India, कि the candidate needs to be 17.5 years of age at minimum. 12th पास होना चाहिए with physics and mathematics. अगर ओपन स्कूल, अगर 12th में फिजिक्स मैथमेटिक्स नहीं है तो जो भी मिसिंग सब्जेक्ट्स हैं फिजिक्स और मैथमेटिक्स किसी भी ओपन स्कूल से आप कर सकते हो. या कैंडिडेट्स जिनके पास 10th के बाद कोई डिप्लोमा, टेक्निकल डिप्लोमा है तो 10+3 भी एलिजिबल होता है. हायर एजुकेशंस में कोई आपको बेनिफिट्स नहीं मिलता. आप कोई भी बैकग्राउंड हो, ट्रेनिंग के टाइम पे आपकी सीपीएल के लिए, ट्रेनिंग के लिए आपकी 12th स्टैंडर्ड की ही एजुकेशन कंसिडर की जाती है. इंग्लिश प्रोफिशिएंसी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, उसके बिना आपका लाइसेंस इशू नहीं होता और जॉब लेने में प्रॉब्लम आती है. एंड लास्ट आपको मेडिकली फिट होना चाहिए. सो वी विल स्टार्ट फ्रॉम देयर. सो नाउ वी हैव एस्टैब्लिश्ड कि आपकी जो एलिजिबिलिटीज़ हैं वो आपकी पूरी हो जाती हैं एंड यू आर एबल टू मीट द बेसिक एलिजिबिलिटी और यू नीड टू स्टार्ट. सो टू स्टार्ट विद, I always advise this for everyone even before you start exploring different options for you for your flight training, be it India, be it outside. The first foremost thing you need to do is you need to get yourself medically checked. एक medical आपको करवाना पड़ेगा. DGCA is a department who verifies and establishes your medical fitness, and DGCA has their own set of doctors impaneled. The list is available on DGCA website, or even if you just Google it on DGCA Class 2 medical examiner, you will find the entire list of the doctors across our country. So there are almost 100 odd doctors. You can approach any one of them. Suggestion, advice, only start pursuing the further on training once you have done your Class 2 medical examinations. It's a complete checkup, body checkup from head to toe, urine, blood, x-rays, ultrasound, depending from candidate to candidate. But do it, get it done. Once you have the certainty that you have no issues medically, only then start pursuing it. Anyone who's starting this training, another point of advice is, aviations में कोई refunds नहीं होते. So when you start the training, it's an expensive training. So make sure that you are very serious about it. You meet the eligibilities and medically, only then you start approaching. Okay? Now हमारे को ये पता चल गया, एलिजिबिलिटी हो गई और हमने मेडिकल एग्जामिनेशन भी करवा लिया. क्लास 2 हो गया हमारा. क्लास 1 करवा लेंगे, वो बहुत बेटर रहेगा. क्लास 2 करवाने के बाद आपको DGCA से एक सर्टिफिकेट, एक रजिस्ट्रेशन मिलता है, एक मेडिकल स्लिप मिलती है, उसके बेस पे आप क्लास 1 करवा सकते हैं। जहां पर क्लास 2 के इंडिया में ऑलमोस्ट 100 डॉक्टर्स हैं, क्लास 1 सिर्फ 4 से 5 सेंटर्स में होता है। अगेन आपको DGCA से अप्रोच करना पड़ेगा। इवन इफ यू हैव नो कंफ्यूजन इन योर क्लास 2 एग्जामिनेशन, यू कैन स्टिल प्रोसीड, क्लास 1 करवा लेंगे, नथिंग लाइक इट, देयर इज नो कंफ्यूजन कि आपको कल को जाके कोई मेडिकल इश्यूज की वजह से आपकी ट्रेनिंग इनकम्प्लीट रह सकती है। सो क्लास हमारा मेडिकल असेसमेंट हो गया, क्लास 2 हो गया या क्लास 1 भी हो गया, एंड नाउ हमने ट्रेनिंग शुरू करनी है। ट्रेनिंग के फॉर्मेट्स होते हैं, 2 फॉर्मेट्स हैं आपके। पहला कि आप डिसाइड करते हो कि ट्रेनिंग इंडिया में करनी है कि इंडिया के बाहर। इस सेशन में मैं ट्रेनिंग का सिर्फ एक प्रोसेस डिस्कस करूंगा, वो मैं बात करूंगा। मैं इंडिया में करनी चाहिए कि नहीं करनी चाहिए, क्या कॉस्ट फैक्टर है, कितना जल्दी है, कितना लेट है, उस पर बात नहीं करेंगे। तो टॉपिक आज मैं सिर्फ करूंगा क्या करने से आपको एक CPL लाइसेंस मिलता है। तो पहला पॉइंट हम लेते हैं कि हम लोग ट्रेनिंग करते हैं इंडिया के अंदर। इंडिया के अंदर 34 फ्लाइट स्कूल्स हैं जिनको आप ज्वाइन कर सकते हो फ्लाइट ट्रेनिंग के लिए। फ्लाइट ट्रेनिंग करने के लिए इंडिया में जो हमारा DGCA डिपार्टमेंट का एक करिकुलम है, वो कहता है कि आपके पास कम से कम 200 घंटे का फ्लाइट एक्सपीरियंस होना चाहिए, और इन 200 घंटों के साथ आपको DGCA के 5 एग्जामिनेशंस एंड WPC का 1 एग्जाम क्लियर करना पड़ेगा। बट द ट्रेनिंग फॉर्मेट और जो ट्रेनिंग का प्रोसेस हमारे यहाँ चलता है, मोस्ट ऑफ द स्कूल्स, फ्लाइट स्कूल्स डू नॉट कंडक्ट देयर ओन ग्राउंड स्कूल्स theoretical classes to teach the candidate to clear these examinations. तो क्या करेंगे? And the schools, most of the schools run with the eligibility of their own कि you clear at least 3 of the 6 papers, only then we will admit you in the school. Clearing these exams on your own self study can be little tricky, काफी technical होते हैं, they are quite detailed होते हैं. So you definitely would require someone to teach you. Fortunately, there are a number of freelance tutors. We call them as ground instructors or ground classes, which are spread across our country in different India, north, south, east, west. There are a lot of them, and you can join any one of them. And you can start learning and getting the tuition and the teaching from these candidates, from these instructors, to prepare for these examinations. Examinations are conducted every 2 or 3 months. थोड़ा disruption है because of the pandemic situation, but 2 to 3 months में ये exams conduct होते हैं. Basic eligibility to apply and appear for the examinations are the same: 12th pass, physics and mathematics. There is no limit to the number of attempts you can appear. You can keep on giving the examinations and until you clear the exam. And और सारे exams, 5 DGCA के exams, it is not mandatory to clear them in one go. So हम again suggest करते हैं, काफ़ी tedious है, काफ़ी curriculum है, काफ़ी course material रहता है, to break up and choose and go 1 by 1, 2 exams per attempt, so that you are able to clear it. So once you clear these exams, okay, one point I would like to mention over here. Aviation is unlike other education, so it's not it's other trainings. Be it theoretical or be it practical, the minimum passing percentage in examination is 70 out of 100. So if you score 68 or 69 in any exam, be it a practical or be a theory, you are failed and you have to reappear. So that's why it makes make the curriculum and makes the theoretical studies a little harder, because you don't have to target only 30-40 marks like in schools or colleges. You have to score 70%. So you need proper guidance, you need proper teaching to be able to clear these examinations. So once you clear the examinations, maybe 2 examinations or 3 exams, then you can start approaching for a flight school. Whichever flight school you comfortable and convenient to. There are, as I said, 34 flight schools starting from Punjab until Tamil Nadu and Kerala, and from east and west there are 34 flight schools. So as per your convenience you can join. Every flight school has their own costing. Every has their fee pattern, but more or less the training program is the similar, 200 hours actual flight time and around 10 to 20 hours on a simulator, which are the minimum eligibility criteria for a candidate to train and be eligible for a DGCA license. Okay. Licenses, a CPL license can be of various forms. So I'll just elaborate on that. So you can have a CPL license, a CPL, plain CPL, wherein you train only on a single engine. So the entire 200 hours you train on a single engine, and you have a CPL, but it has its own limitations. You can only fly an aircraft, a single engine aircraft, in the further also for a job purpose also, and you can only fly it in a certain time of the day, clear weather and sunlight. Then you have a CPL category which says a CPL single engine with an instrument rating. Now instrument rating is a form of a training that helps you to navigate the aircraft, maybe in a low visibility or at the night, or around in a height 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers above the surface of the earth, where you don't have any landmarks where you can find your way. So instrument is a very important factor, a very important part of the training if you are looking to pursue a career as a commercial pilot. Thirdly, a lot of airlines or a lot of aircraft manufacturers have a requirement that when the candidate joins and starts flying their aircraft, operating the aircraft, they should have an experience of flying and multi-engine aircraft. So multi-engine aircraft means an aircraft more than one engine. So when we talk of a multi-engine with specific to CPL training, so it's an aircraft with two engines or a twin engine aircraft. So generally that is what happens in the program that you should choose for, and all the flight schools will help you with that. If you tell them that it's a career oriented training you want, they will offer you a program which should have a commercial pilot, a CPL, single engine, instrument rated, and a multi engine in that same 200 hours and 10 or 20 hours of a simulator training. So hours do not exceed. The training is combined and consolidated in the same 200 hours. So that is what you do. You do your trainings. You first clear 6 papers. So namely the papers are navigation, meteorology, regulation, technical general, and technical specific. These 5 are conducted by DGCA, and there is another paper which is called an radio telephony, which is conducted by WPC. It's a different department. So once you clear these 6 papers and you have completed with your 200 hours, minimum 200 hours of flight training successfully as per the satisfaction and standard of the ECA and your flight trainers, you can prepare an application, and you submit the entire application with DGCA, and DGCA, after processing and analyzing your documents, they issue you a CPL, after which you can start applying for a job. So that was the case with the Simple You Join a School in India. But a lot of candidates, they choose to train outside India for various reasons. I will not go into those reasons, but for reasons best known to them, I'll discuss these reasons and I'll put a better understanding of whether to choose India or outside in my videos coming next weeks. A lot of candidates choose to train in a foreign country. So foreign country also has its own little requirements change. So if you are, this is the things you need to consider before training, for the training point of view. This class 2 and class 1 medical standards requirements stand as they are, and be taking from there onwards, not to miss them out. So anyone who's who's willing to do this training outside, for these candidates, out of the 5 examinations DGCA conducts, you are exempted of 2 of them. So you need to appear for the subjects, namely navigation, regulation, and meteorology. Technical general and technical specific are exempted for the candidates who want to get a conversion of a foreign license to an Indian license. Okay, that is one thing. Now the second point is you can appear and clear these examinations before you join a foreign school, or you can do these examinations even after coming back from a foreign country with a foreign license. So let me be very clear. If you're planning to do your training in a foreign country, you need not to give a technical general and a technical specific for the sake of eligibility of issuance of a license. So you only appear on navigation, regulation and meteorology. Most of the countries that the candidates go from India, the countries, the foreign license also comes with an exemption of an RT license. So you are issued a RT license in the foreign country, and while coming back to India, you need not to give an RT exam also. So in total, you have 3 examinations exempted: technical general, technical specific and RT exam. So yes, you can now, again as I said before, you can appear for these 3 exams before you leave for the country, before you start training in a foreign country, or you can come back with a foreign license and you can then appear for these papers. Okay. Now when you start a training program in a foreign country, there are some other factors that you need to make sure. Every country has their own specific flight training program, a curriculum, or you can say a syllabus. Like I said, India has a 200 hours of a curriculum requirement, and how you fly those 200 hours are very well mentioned and defined with the DGCA, which all the Indian schools are aware. But when you join a foreign school, the foreign school primarily is conducting the training as per their country's civil aviation requirements. So there can be a difference in the program. They might be exactly the same, but it is your onus, it is your duty to make sure if you're flying with a foreign country, then you need to make sure that the curriculum and the hours that you fly over there are also incompatible with the DGCA program. Otherwise, there will be an issue when you come with a conversion. The schools over there are more than happy to accommodate and modify the programs over there, and they can plan up a program which will suit, which will get you the local foreign license and also meet the DGCA requirements. Firstly. Secondly, DGCA is very peculiar of what type of equipment we use in the training. By equipment, I mean mainly the aircraft. If you start looking at the foreign schools, you'll find a lot of aircraft flying over there. Namely, there's an aircraft which is used very widely in South Africa. It's called a Sling, but it is not approved. If you do a training on a Sling, you cannot get a license in India. A Piper Arrow or a Cherokee. There are plenty of such aircrafts which are available, but if you do your training on these aircrafts, you get a checkouts on these aircraft in spite of completing the entire hourly curriculum as per DGCA. DGCA will not convert the foreign license into a Indian license. Hence, you end up losing a lot of precious time and money. So make sure what you are getting into. Alright, RT, as I said, that is one thing. Okay, and again one thing we have come across is a big confusion among the candidates. They come up with questions, if I clear my DGC exams prior to my starting of training in a foreign country, then what sort of a training do I get over there? So irrespective, what have you done in your country? You've done or nothing. When you join a foreign school, you are required to undergo the theoretical and the practical training, and you will have to clear the theoretical examinations and the check rides of the practical exams as per the foreign country. Clearing DGC exams before you join a foreign school does not give you an exemption of the theoretical exams in that country. It is not a concept that we'll go there, just fly 200 hours and get a license. Please remember, When you come with the foreign license, the conversion is done on the basis of license. It is the foreign license is converted into a license, into an Indian license. The logbook is not converted into Indian license. All right, so make sure that you don't fall into that trap. Someone commits you, अरे कोई नहीं आपने DGCA कर लिया, आप आ जाओ हमारे साथ, हम तो सिर्फ 200 घंटे करवा के आ जाएंगे. No, it will not happen. It will not happen. You can check, please check and make sure what you get to India. RT, I mentioned it earlier. Commonwealth countries, Canada, South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, a number of more countries. If you train in these countries, the RT license in these countries can be converted. The ideal point to option to go to a Commonwealth country because you get an exemption of the RT license coming back to India. Now what happens after you come back with a foreign license? Now you come back from a foreign country with a foreign license, and let's assume you have already fulfilled the Indian requirement. So you have to start getting into a conversion process. For the conversion process, what does DGCA require? First of all, DGCA will check, have you cleared the DGCA examinations as per your conversion process? Meaning, you should have cleared navigation, you should have cleared regulation, you should have cleared metrology. So when you come back with the foreign license, that format also little changes. I will not confuse you with that. So just remember this. When you put your application for a conversion of a foreign license, the DGCA firstly will verify whether you have cleared navigation, metrology and regulation. Secondly, whether you have an RT license in India. You have the WPC RTR. Whether you have cleared the paper here or you have a foreign license which has been, foreign RT which has been converted into an Indian RTR. Coming back on the examinations on the DGCA, again two options. Either you cleared your examinations before you left for the foreign country, or you came back and then you cleared your DGCA 3 examination. That doesn't matter. It has no relevance. There is a technical point to it. I will take that later on in a video next. A big discussion on that. Okay. But when the application is submitted with DGCA, firstly, you need to have cleared DGCA exams. You need to have been issued an RTR license in India with WPC. Thirdly, before applying, you need to fly at least 8 hours in India with a school in India on the aircraft which you have flown in a foreign aircraft, the same similar. So if you did your training in a Cessna 152 or a Cessna 172 in a foreign country, you need to fly 8 hours of the similar aircraft in India. These 8 hours flying is called skill checks, wherein DGCA confirms you have the flying ability and you are a safe pilot to be issued a license. And lastly, DGCA will verify whether you meet the flying requirements as per DGCA requirement. So once all these requirements, all these processes have been verified, DGCA will issue you a CPL, and as per you, whatever you've done over there, a CPL with instrument and multi-engine, the same ratings will be given on the Indian license. Conversion of a foreign license into an Indian license doesn't mean that your foreign license will be cancelled. An Indian license is issued in lieu of a foreign license, and end of the process, the candidate holds maybe 2 or maybe 3 licenses, CPL licenses from various countries depending on the condition. For example, if you come from, if you do your training from US and you have a FA license, coming back end of the process, you will have an FA license and you will hold an Indian license, DGCA license as well. Or if you the same thing with the Canada, when you come back end of the process, you have a Canadian license and you will hold a DGCA license as well. Apart from FA license, almost all the CPL license in the world have a validity of 5 years. You need to do some prove some flying and some processes in that 5 years for the DGCA or the departments to be issued, to be renewed the licenses further on. It's a normal process, nothing to be worry about. But again, why I mentioned that, so if you come back with a Canadian license after 5 years, because you have not flown in Canada, the license automatically expires and you hold on to your DGC license. That can be a benefit, that cannot be a benefit. That depends on your requirements and it depends on case to case. Well, I think covered everything. So yes, very simple. Do not confuse yourself. There are lots of thoughts factors. People assume things. People suggest a lot of things which actually are not required or do not get your license. Flight training is a very expensive program. It's an expensive program. Lack of awareness, lack of knowledge. If you just blindly follow someone, can lead in escalation of these price and escalation of the time factor, which is the purpose we are creating these videos. It is just to educate the general public of what is required to become a pilot. I think that's all for today. Thank you. We're going to have another session next week, Saturday, 5 o'clock in the evening with a topic, and I hope to see you again. Thank you so much.